It's all about leadership and team building, because at the end of the day, I'm not doing none of the stuff. I got to have other people, great people in the company. I got to let them come in and shine. I'm just the orchestrator. Listen, when you're a CEO or you have a company, it's one thing for us to be really good, especially as young CEOs. When I mean young in your role, not young in age. You could be starting a new career, you could be doing something different, and you could be young in the current role that you're in. And when you're young in the current role, a lot of times you lack confidence, or you haven't had a lot of big wins behind you. So it becomes, or maybe your business isn't at a point to where it's not dominating. So it becomes really difficult to build a team that actually has, to build a high performing team, but there's a recipe for it. There's an exact recipe. It's very simple. I'm going to break it down for you guys. If you pay attention to this, there'll be bits and pieces of this that you can follow, right? So remember something. We'll just break this down. It comes why most teams underperform and how to fix it. That's the goal. It's really simple, the things to do, but the reality is this. It's really hard to do it. So remember, a high-performance team, it's not about talent, it's about structure. I always say this, my favorite thing to say is a great team is a collection of average people with great leadership, great processes and systems and training. That's it, with a little bit of accountability sprinkled in there. If you have that, boom, you got a great team. That's how you build it. So most teams fail because CEOs tolerate, dysfunction within the teams. That's what it is. So these five non-negotiables are going to create the clarity, the accountability, which ultimately is going to lead to the speed that you need to get there. The number one non-negotiable is clear roles and ownership. Remember, if two people are responsible, nobody is responsible. And I've been going back right now, and this is a constant struggle. Remember something. Everybody naturally, if you don't have, and we'll get through this, when we bring it all together at the end, I'm going to stay on focus because it's really easy for me to go off track. And that's why I like these frameworks, because it keeps me here one step at a time. But it's really easy for people to create their own standards, especially when you don't have a normal meeting cadence. You don't have the same consistent KPIs. But the birth child of that is everybody needs a clear role and a clear number, a clear KPI, a clear metric that they're responsible for, And that's really and truly, that's just one number, and you go in there, or a certain outcome that they're responsible for. It could be, hey, one person say, you're responsible for turning out for accounting, you're responsible for turning out the financial statement, the profit and loss by the 5th of the month each month, the 10th of the month each month, the 15th of the month each month, right? There's a clear deadline, there's a clear role, there's a clear person responsible for it, the leader of that department. They have to work with their team and get it done. I'm just giving you a higher level example, something that you need to have done, but there has to be a clear role, who does it, who's responsible for it, and what outcome are they responsible for by then. So it's really important to get really clear on that and to make sure that those KPIs are really what you want them to hit. A lot of times we come in and we see things that everything is a great idea, everything we get met with excitement and enthusiasm to go deliver it. We learn something new, we go back to our teams, and we want to share it with them, and then we just keep assigning more and more and more work to them. The reality is giving them a clear role with an expectation, with the KPI that you're actually going to hold them accountable to, that's going to get you the greatest result. So make sure that you have clear roles and ownership. Remember, if two people are responsible, nobody's responsible. So the second thing is we talk about this, it's the weekly scorecard. We come in there, we guys at this point, most of you guys who know me or have been here, you should have a scorecard at this point. If you don't, if you're new, you need to go ahead and focus on getting a scorecard, KPI tracker, trend board, dashboard, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, it's going to have to show your weekly KPIs. Everybody reports their numbers every week, and then in return, boom, it's a quick short meeting. You talk about wins, you talk about losses, so you can identify opportunities. That's your metrics. What are the bottlenecks, and where are the commitments that needs to happen? That quick feedback every day. Remember something, as you as the leader, this is the same for any leader in any leadership role. It doesn't matter what you do, but you have to show up and make sure that the team knows what they have to do. If you want to work 1 hour a day, the most important hour of your day is going to be you showing up and communicating to the team what they need to be doing, what the expectation is for the day, and then stepping off. This is the most consistent thing, especially if you've already got the momentum in the business to where you have the activities and you're going where I hope you are. That's what you do. You show up. So at some point in time, If you're not there yet, you're going to have to go ahead and implement this. So you have the scorecard. So not only that, it's not just about the card. It's about the meeting and what you communicate in it. And if you start it out, like we said, first non-negotiable is everybody has a number. Everybody has a clear role and a goal. They know that. They know what's expected of them. Then, boom, we reinforce it weekly in a meeting, and we assess it. Where are we at? Where do we go?
Hey, guys, how you doing? My name's Joey Batista. I'm an active 9-figure entrepreneur. Listen, inside this video, I'm going to share with you the tips and tricks, the real-life examples that I use growing and scaling companies today. Listen, I'm not an influencer. I'm an entrepreneur with a passion for sharing what I've learned over the last 3 decades, and it's a privilege for me to share it with you here today.
So the number 2 non-negotiable is a weekly scorecard review. The third thing is, and this is where it gets really, remember something, documented core processes, SOPs, right? What are your documented standards? You know, one of the things that we went over today was I was talking to some of the sales teams. I was like, hey, 90-day rolling average is X. If not, boom, they're done. So one of 2 things happens. I'll give you an example of this. When you have a clear performance standard for sales, this is something between now and the end of the year, I have to go around all the businesses and make it very clear, because one of 2 things happens at the end of that. Either the people don't care about their job and they leave and you want them to go anyways, or they start putting in the extra time, the extra commitment, the extra energy in order to actually get the result. Because if they're not doing that, you don't want them to be there anyways, because you're just not a good fit for them. They might be a great fit for somebody else, but they're not that emotionally invested in the outcome, because if they would, the behaviors would show it, you know? So then once we go ahead and do that, SOPs compete general tribal knowledge into company knowledge that now you can transfer for generations to come. Every department needs 3 core processes, 3 SOPs to function. And that's your things that are your main nuts and bolts. You don't want to come in here a lot. Your business isn't documenting SOPs. You're documenting SOPs so you can do business. One of the biggest challenges that people have with implementing an operating system and or like traction or a lot of things when you're going to events, you're going to getting training, you're seeing things online, is that you think the thing is actually going to solve the problem. Remember, the core processes, so the SOPs, they're just documented so that you can actually do whatever it is that you do. Documenting core processes alone are not going to go ahead and blow and catapult your business. They're just one of the tools in the toolbox that are going to have to be a non-negotiable so that you can do whatever it is that you do very well, and it's scalable so you can bring new teammates on in order to do it. And SOPs, they reduce training time and they eliminate the I forgot excuses. This I forgot, or, back to, 2 people are responsible, no person is responsible. Oh, I thought they did it. Oh, they thought I did it. And ultimately, it's freedom for the CEO. And another big thing is it's also how your team's going to get to where they want to go. It's a playbook for success for how somebody can be a teammate with you and actually win, right? So it's also our part doing our part. When you go in there, especially you've been in business a couple years, you should begin to have these things built out. And if you're at a sticking point to where you don't, because listen, let's face it, part of being successful is having a standard. Part of having a standard, the only way you can do it is you got to fire people sometimes. So sales, daily workflow, operations, a fulfillment checklist, finance, month-end closeout routine. How do you close out? This is a really good one. One of the things we go around, people challenge all the time with the bigger the business, the bigger financial statement, it's a lot of work to close out a month. But usually you can get rid of about 80% of that by having good processes and SOPs all month long. So all the work is actually done. So by the time it's finally time to close out the month, you have processes and systems in place for it to happen, and it just doesn't pop up at the end of the month. Number 4 is real accountability. This is what we talk about. People got to get fired, and I'm not going in there being an advocate for firing people, but if you don't do these other things, it's hard to assess whether or not the person is actually the right person for the role or not. You have to go in, clearly communicate it, and do it. That's why one of the things right now, I know for 26, I have to go and tighten up all the basics everywhere. It's an annual thing that I do. Implement the standards, go ahead in there, be very clear about it. Hey, this is unacceptable. This is what it is. You haven't been putting in the effort and you're not getting the results. So how do we do it? Most companies don't have an accountability problem, right? They have a follow-up problem. Accountability, clear expectations, weekly check-ins, consequences, positive and negative. If we catch somebody doing something right, we want to repeat and we want to reward successful actions. If we find successful actions and we reward them, that behavior will continue. If we have negative behavior and we reinforce our standards and we hold them accountable to those consequences, then we also let them know what we don't want to be repeated. Now, if we do neither, bad behavior is repeated, and at the same point in time, the good behaviors that we want, we're not going to reinforce them, so we're not going to get them. Number 5 is this. I had a conversation with one of my general managers, and this is what I would advise everybody to do. It doesn't matter if your role's mom, if your role's dad, if you're shift foreman, if you're salesperson, if you're janitor, okay? It doesn't matter what it is. I would ask yourself, how are you showing up as a leader for your family, for your husband, for your wife, for your team? Look at yourself like a third party. Most people, you could correct 90% of your bad behaviors that you have that are not getting you the outcomes you want. If you just said, hey, how am I showing up as a leader for my kids, right? Like if your kids were to go with you in every aspect of your life, how are you showing up? So the conversation that I had is, and this is the thing, you can't demand what you're not willing to do. So the conversation that I had with one of my general managers today was, I said, your leadership is required, okay? Right now, your team's going to be required because come January, if you're not showing up the way that you need to, how are you going to hold them accountable to the standard? And if you fire them, which will ultimately end up happening, or they'll get repurposed, or they'll get demoted, or they'll get shifted, moved around, if they're whatever the case may be, they'll get moved out of the role, or they'll quit because you didn't show up as a leader. Because the reality is they won't be able to make the money that they need to make. They won't be able to have the development that they need to have if they're not showing up. So one of the biggest things, this is what I was saying, I said, how are you showing up as a leader? When you look at yourself and you start doing things, cutting out early, coming in late, shortcutting every way you can, everywhere you can, every little cookie you can take out of the jar without putting nothing in it, you're taking it. Well, all because it's your business. When it's your business, you got to put the most into it. Remember something. If you're a business owner, nobody else in here owns the business. You're the owner. They don't care about your business the way you do, nor should they. They're not the ones that got the family house online for it if something goes bad. They're not the ones that put in all the long nights. They don't understand that. And it's not their role to. It's your job to create an opportunity for them so that they can help you achieve what you want to achieve. And you carry that burden, and in return, hey, when it works out, you get a bigger piece of the pie. So you got to take a little bit of the brunt of that in the beginning. But what I want to encourage you to do, and what the non-negotiable is, and this is really the biggest one. They're all equally big, but this is the one thing that every one of us can take control of today, no matter what your role is. You can take care of how you're showing up as a leader in your life. Like I said, is it your husband or your wife? Is your husband or wife going to be proud of you for taking a leadership role for the family that they're taking? When you look at yourself as a third party, that would be the coaching opportunity. That would be how you can immediately elevate yourself. I want you to assess every time when you go to hit the snooze button and you don't want to get up, when you go, every single thing, I want you to think of your wife, your husband, your kids, your teammates, the people that believe in you, how they're looking at you. I cannot tell you how many days that I get up and go at it when I don't want to, because I'm looking at I look at Joey Batista like a third party person. That's how I look at Joey Batista. I look at Joey Batista like he's a superhero. That's how I look at Joey Batista. See, Joey Batista has to show up no matter what. Rain, snow, sick, doesn't matter. Dog got hit by a car. Because why? I need everybody to see that. When death comes to my family, I'm the last one to cry. Why? Because I have to be a leader for my family so they can mourn. It might sound harsh, it might sound brutal, but guess what? That's what real leadership is, That's what real leadership is when you lose a brother and you look over and you see your other brother crying and you got to hold your tears because at the end of the day, you want to give him that. And I know that sounds extreme, but that's been the story of my life, and that's the lesson. So when they come in and we're sharing these things and we're looking at them and we're saying they don't matter, how are you showing up as a leader? Everybody comes in and they talk all this big money talk. I see them all the time. They come in and they use all these other variables. They use these other variables they pull in. They pull in a lot of other things into their life and what they're doing. And then they go in and then they don't show up and do them. When you can do what you say you're going to do every day, it's funny, I went in and I see a lot of people. See, people don't know me in the influencer space when I came in. People don't know me. So they came in and they gave me suggestions based on where they were at and how they saw theirself. And what the suggestion was, a lot of times, was people would say to me, man, you just got to tap into the anger, man. You got to tap into the pain. No, man, that's childish. That's Joey like 1.5. This action hero here today, and I don't say this to talk about myself. I say this because I want to equip you with the mind. I want to level you up. I want to level you up. I want to give you real value into your life going into 26, how you can get on this call right now and you can literally go out and change your life. You can turn yourself from a dreamer into an action taker. And I'll tell you what it is. I want you to look at yourself every day in the mirror between now and the end of the year and ask yourself, how am I showing up as a leader for my family, for my kids? I've been hearing people for 25 years in business tell me everything they can't do because of their kids. I can't do that. Are you handicapped because I can't do that because I got a family? See, I don't understand that. I must do it because I have kids. I must do it because I have a wife. I must do it because I have kids. See, we're not the same. And it's not until you elevate to that level, and that's the thing. See, to me, this is not about business. This is about life. See, when I coach people, you know what it is? Usually what happens, they're not doing something right at home. They're not taking care of themselves somewhere. They got bad habits. They're lazy. They're procrastinating. They have something that they're doing that they're not taking action on. It's not, they don't need the skills. They all got the skills. They're smart, they're charismatic, they can sell, they can count, they can sing, they can dance. But what they don't have is the human discipline. And the way that you get that fundamentally is you ask yourself every day, how am I showing up as a leader? If you're not proud of how you're showing up as a leader, if you don't take pride in being a leader, and like I said, I don't care if you're a janitor, okay? If you're sweeping the floors and that's your job, when your kids see you, are they going to be proud of you if you're just saying, oh, I'm only a janitor and you're doing the minimal amount of work? Are they going to see you going in there, going all out? They're going to be like, you know what? Eventually someday he's going to be he's going to be the head foreman around here. They'll be the example. See, that's the thing. All the BS goes away when you just go in. So make it non-negotiable in your life to not show up as the leader. Remember, you're responsible for your life. You're responsible. I had a meeting today and I was talking to the team and I said, listen, it's a very simple equation. If I was to introduce you into a new piece of information that was in your own best interest, could you act upon it? And if you can't, is it somebody else's fault? So ask yourself that question. Ask yourself, write this down. If you throw everything else away that I said today, I want you to write this thing down right here. If somebody gives you a piece of information that's in your own best interest, can you act upon it? And if you can't, is it somebody else's fault? Right? See, if it is, you got a lot of work to do. But guess what? The good news is boom, you process that, you suck on it, you don't like the way it feels, boom, you regurgitate it, you go to work, 26 is a banger. So anyways, guys, listen, we'll go ahead, we'll open it up for, let's go make sure, I think I got one more slide here. But that's the thing, high performance teams have these things, and I'm passionate about this because the reason why I'm so passionate about this, because I realized the ultimate thing in scaling companies is this. It's all about leadership and team building. Because at the end of the day, I'm not doing none of the stuff. I'm not. Other people, I got to have other people, great people in the company. I got to let them come in and shine. I'm just the orchestrator. I just create the opportunity. I create the opportunity. I give them an opportunity for their family to achieve their goals, and that's it. So if I'm not showing up like that, right, it's a big deal, you know? So I'm really grateful to be at this point in my life that I'm at. You know, we went around Thanksgiving, and they were asking, you know, what are you grateful for? And one of the things that I was I'm grateful for my family and all these things, all the yearbook answers that we would all say and feel in our heart. But the thing that I'm most grateful for is I'm grateful for the climb that I made in my life. Because like some of you in here, I had to overcome all these things, right? I overcome procrastination. I overcame, paying a high cost for low living. I overcame addiction issues. I overcame so many things in my life to be who I am today. And I'm proud of this guy. And I'm even more proud of who I'm going to become tomorrow. And more importantly, I'm proud of you guys, because what I want to do is I want to leverage what I've had. The reason why I'm doing this right now, I will never make a penny from saying this right now. I just love sharing it because I think it's a noble, worthy mission that people on earth need to hear that desire a better life, that you can have it and you will. You can have it and you will, but not if you sit around and take fluffy answers from yourself fueled with excuses. And the biggest excuse we can tell ourselves is that we're leading something and we're not showing up for like a leader.
Hey guys, if you found value in the video today and you'd like to see more of them, like, subscribe, or share now.